There was like a whole update. Oh, now my Steam is updating. Gomenasai. No, I don't want any. No, get out of here. Get the fuck out of here, antivirus. Sorry, everything is popping out now because alright, let's start that chapter over, and the mouse will not be driving me crazy, hopefully, so we can get in the zone. Let us hope nothing else pops open while we are doing this. Yosh. Alright, here we go again. Chapter 10. Last time in Hinamizawa, Shion told us that the person... God damn it, stop it! Go away. Shion told us that she told somebody about what she did, which was the mayor, and now the mayor is missing. So the main character, Keiichi, is freaking out because he told Rika... so he's scared that she's going to get hurt somehow. And that's where we left off. After hanging up on Shion, I searched for Rika's phone number on my school's contact list. There it is! My fingers trembled with urgency, and I failed multiple times to put in the simple 5-digit number. Keiichi, are you calling someone at this hour? It's late, and it's being rude to the other person. That doesn't matter right now, I shouted angrily at my mother, listening to the dial tone. Pick up! Come on, pick up! The time was 11 p.m. It certainly wasn't early. It was essentially the middle of the night. Had Rika already gone to bed? Her phone would be ringing constantly, though, so would she get back up for me? Rika didn't pick up. She didn't pick up. She didn't pick up! Maybe she just happened to miss it. Maybe her bed was just too far away from the phone. The sound of the phone ringing gets clearer and clearer the longer you go on sleeping. Then, the bathroom? Yeah. She must be taking a bath. If that was the case, then even if she heard the phone, she wouldn't be able to pick up. It was a little late to be taking a bath, but it was possible she normally took baths right before going to bed. I'll wait 30 minutes, then try calling again. Yeah. Even as I was thinking that, I called her house over and over again. I kept calling over and over again and again. I kept on calling her, but she didn't pick up even once. I think I kept trying for about 30 minutes, yet she wasn't picking up. Were my phone calls so persistent that she had gotten scared of picking up the receiver? No, that couldn't possibly be it. There was no point in doing this any longer. The best thing to do would be go in there in person. Where was Rika's house, though? I never even asked her where she lived. Her residence was written there in the contact list, but it was an address with mostly numbers, so I couldn't tell where it was just by reading it. Isn't there a map or something in here? Rika Furude. Her last name was Furude. It was a bit of an odd last name, so it might be easy to find. Thinking that, I rummaged around the drawer with the phone book, but could only find things like takeout menus and phone numbers for public things. Shit! I tore one thing off after another out of the drawer, but I didn't come up with any clues as to where Rika's house was. Calm down, Keiichi. If you don't know, then just ask. Ask someone who does know. That's it. Reina's gotta know. I looked up Reina's phone number on the contact list. Reina Ryugu. There she was. Hello? This is Ryugu. It was the voice. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Hello. This is Ryugu. It was the voice of a grumpy-sounding man. It must have been Reina's father. I am calling in the middle of the night. I need to be polite. I'm sorry for calling so late at night. This is my Bara. Is there any chance Reina's around? Reina is taking a bath. Oh, she's done? Reina. There's a friend of yours on the phone. Oh, right. Reina Ryugu was her real name, wasn't it? I'd gotten used to calling her Reina that hearing her real name caught me a little off guard. Hello? This is Reina. It's me, Keiichi. Sorry for calling so late. Huh? Keiichi? What do you need at a time like this? Well, actually, I wanted to know where Rika's house is. Reina seemed a little appalled that I called her for something like that at this hour. However, she spoke her next words seriously, as if she'd caught on to how urgent my need was. Okay, sure. You know the assembly hall on the grounds of the Furude Shrine? There's a 2-story shack used for storage behind it. That's where she lives. Huh? Oh, it's different. I couldn't immediately visualize the place, but as long as I knew she lived on the shrine grounds, I'd just have to take a look around. Got it! Thank you. Sorry again for calling so late. Apologize to your dad too, would you? Okay, but Keiichi, why do you want to know where Rika lives? Reina asked in an unusually sharp way, halting me before I could hang up the phone. I hesitated for a moment about whether to tell her. He was killed because I told him. Keiichi, if you're still listening, could you answer me? Why are you asking where Rika lives at a time like this? Reina affected her usual tone, but beneath her words lay a certain tension, like she'd intuitively sensed something was going on. What will you do, Keiichi? If it's Reina, can't I tell her? He was killed because he found out. I revealed everything. So he was killed. Keiichi! Reina is being serious. Please answer me. Reina asked me once again in a tone so forceful I couldn't imagine her using it normally. I was taken aback by her figure. Reina was Rika's friend too. She had the right to be concerned about Rika disappearing. But if I told Reina, then, even if only for a moment, I could drive away my horrifying fears. Reina, well, I can't exactly tell you why, but... Yes? Reina's tone was seriousness in itself. It's hard to do a perky, serious voice. Just from that tone, I could feel her saying, "No matter what you say, Keiichi, I'll believe you." That subtle sense of security gave me the courage to reveal the truth. I have a feeling that Rika's in danger. You mean like a premonition? Or do you have some reason to believe she's in danger? I really didn't have time to go back and forth with Raina about this. Still, I think listening to her calm voice soothed my pointless impatience. I don't have much reason, but yet still I hesitated. I had told Rika that we had snuck into the ritual storehouse. The mayor, to whom Xian had confessed before that, had already disappeared. So it was possible that Rika also... Oh God, I didn't know how to explain this to Raina. While I was tongue-tied, Raina spoke up. Sorry for asking something so weird. I thought about it and it isn't like you need to be sure. Raina laughed a little, seeming a bit absent-minded. I wasn't exactly in the mood to laugh, so this time I was dumbfounded. Raina continued in a cheerful yet still purposeful voice. You're worried about a friend. I don't think you need a reason to go check on him. Even if Rika was asleep and you ended up waking her up, if that was why you didn't, then none of us would get mad. Raina, thank you. Okay then, Katie, just one thing. You called Rika's house, right? Then you just couldn't get through, so that's why you asked me where her house was? Yeah, that's right. I must have called her for over 10 minutes. She could just be sleeping and not have noticed. Rika's house is really small. She would definitely hear a phone ringing even if she was asleep. Satoko's there too, so there's no way neither of them would not notice. Huh? You mean she's living with Rika? Yeah. You didn't know? Well, we can talk about that later. Anyway, if you called that much and no one answered, then something's definitely wrong. Raina understood the situation wasn't normal far faster than I could have ever imagined her to. It made her seem dependable. However, the fact that Raina had acknowledged this also meant that the best case possibility of it all, just being the result of my own needless fears, went out the window. I'll go to Rika's right now. Will you come with me? I can show you the way. Oh, wait. Oh, wrong person. Sounds good. Let's meet up at the same place as usual. I'll be waiting. No, wait! I'll come get you at your house. You just wait there and tell your family you're coming with me to Rika's, okay? Will that be okay? We might lose time if you come here. Why does she want to come? I don't understand. Did you call me too? She's really dependable at times like these. If you haven't, then I'll give her a call. Fuck. My thoughts froze for a moment. Xian had just told me to be careful around Mion during our phone conversation a little while ago. If the Sonozaki main house was somehow lurking behind the surface of the annual freak deaths, then the current heir to the family, Mion, wouldn't be uninvolved. So wouldn't that mean she wasn't uninvolved in what happened this year to Takano and Tomitake, and also the mayor's disappearance? Okay, bye! I'll be right over. Wait for me. That's all Raina said before hurriedly hanging up. Now wasn't the time to be doubting Mion. Oh yes, it's the perfect time to doubt Mion. I needed to make sure Rika was safe. I got changed and grabbed the key to my bike. I figured things would go more smoothly if we met up in the place we usually do before school. Raina wouldn't need to come all the way to my house. My parents probably have objected if I told them I was leaving, so I creeped out without a word. The night was unusually warm and disagreeably humid. She said that Rika and Satoko lived together, right? Then... Oh, fuck, it wasn't only Rika. Satoko wasn't there either? Realizing what them living together really meant caused my thoughts to immediately take a turn for the worse. That can't be. Satoko... She's got nothing to do with any of this. Even if there were a reason for Rika to disappear, there shouldn't be one for Satoko. Kichi! Raina was really fast. She approached me on her bike at an amazing speed. Her breath was ragged, painting a clear picture of just how hurriedly she'd been going. "Hey, Reina, let's get going." "Keiichi, I thought I told you to wait at your house." Reina's expression was all business. Was she mad? It came out of the blue and I faltered for a moment. Well, I just figured it'd be faster to meet here. "Keiichi, don't you get it?" Reina shouted, clearly angry. I've never seen Reina like this before. Do I get it? What's the problem? Reina seemed to notice she was scaring me. Took a couple of deep breaths, then continued as if admonishing me, but her expression didn't soften at all. "Keiichi, the whole village is in an uproar now that the elder disappeared, right?" "Yeah." "Now you're telling me that Rika and Satoko aren't where they're supposed to be, right?" "Yeah, that about sums it up." "Then you need to be more careful. Do you have any idea how dangerous it is to be standing out here alone in the middle of the night?" "And it's less dangerous for a guy to be standing out there than a tiny little girl that someone could pick up and throw?" Okay. Even though I know you're insane, but I began to understand where Reina's anger was coming from. "You told your family you'd be going to Rika's with me, didn't you? So that in the worst case scenario, if you and I were to disappear, people would know when and where we did." Reina was perfectly level-headed in this emergency situation. Ever since the night of the Watanagashi, every night someone had died or disappeared. On the night itself, Takano and Tomitake met strange ends. On the next night, the elder vanished. Now, on the night after that, Rika and Satoko were nowhere to be found. I hadn't been thinking of anyone but myself, but it wasn't enough to say that Hinamizawa was a little weird at the moment. It was in fact extremely strange. Reina had even anticipated our own disappearances and had told me to tell my family where I was going. I was embarrassed at my own carelessness, and the need to be embarrassed made me afraid of the night. Sorry, I didn't tell them yet. "Okay, then let's go tell them together." "Oh my god, woman, you're fucking wasting time." With Reina beside me, oh, that's probably on purpose, right? I wheeled back towards my house. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky. A sky that was uselessly vast and cold, so that no matter what, it would never seem to me like a dream. This cruel fact had already confronted me. On such a crazy night, Reina had been unimaginably dependable. Hinamizawa's metamorphosis, enough to make Reina caution me against carelessness, was, to me, the most fearsome thing of all. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky. We met up with Mion on the way, and she, of course, was unsure whether to believe me about Rika and Satoko's disappearance. "Kay, are you serious? I'm going to get really mad if this is a joke." Mion was clearly displeased. If this were a joke, it wasn't very funny. I understood how indiscreet my words were. Ever since the day before yesterday, someone had died or vanished every night. Rika and Satoko disappearing after all that was something you just couldn't say, even in jest. "Mii-chan, if it really is a joke, don't get mad, smile. If it would be a joke after all. We need to make sure whether it's a joke or not." "You're right. Sorry for getting upset. However indiscreet a joke it may have been, if we learned that our friends were safe, it would end up being nothing more than a funny story." Having been warned about that, Reina, Mion gave a dry smile, the tension she felt loosening a bit. She mounted her bicycle as well. Our 3 bicycle lights flashed down the pitch-black roads. They were some of the only illumination outside. "Kay, why did you suddenly decide to call and ask about Rika's house at a time like this?" Mian asked me the same thing that I had trouble explaining to Reina. Would it be weird to call it a premonition? I couldn't quite tell because it was dark, but I thought I could see Mian smiling very ambiguously. I definitely understood that she wasn't convinced, though, despite the darkness. Well, I had this bad dream while I was snoozing, and I couldn't get it out of my head. So, did Rika get kidnapped in the dream? Well, it was more of a vague feeling sort of thing. If Rika had answered the phone, I would have called you and Reina after that. Lies smoothly babbled out of my mouth, makeshift though they were. I was lying because I thought telling them the truth would be silently admitting we stolen into the ritual storehouse together that night. Mian didn't press me any further. I don't know whether that convinced her. Or maybe she figured that making sure Rika and Satoko were safe would be faster than making an issue out of it. I felt relieved and immediately a little guilty. Mian really hadn't been acting differently these last few days, but I'm still trying to distance myself from her for some reason. It was only because of what I heard from Shion and Oishi-san that she was the successor to some kind of super extravagant gang family. No. Was I just trying to force myself to forget? Don't do that, KG. Wasn't it Mian who was the first to ask about the night of Watanagashi? In such a harsh tone at that. Have I already forgotten the terror I felt? At that time, Mian looked like someone different from the Mian I knew. When I think about that Mian, then Shion and Oishi-san's descriptions of Mian made a tiny bit more sense. That's it, isn't it? If it wasn't for how she acted that day, then I wouldn't be feeling this way towards her now. What on earth was going on with her back then? I was conveniently thinking only of everything she had done after that, while disregarding the very first thing, the thing I should have been looking at the most, wasn't I? Mian was pedaling her bicycle in front of me, her long hair fluttering in the wind. No matter how long I looked at her back, it never gave me the answers to any of my questions. We went all the way to the stone steps, leading up to the shrine grounds. Of course, we weren't going to want to haul our bikes up there, so we parked them beside the staircase instead. So this is the Furude Shrine. Everyone comes and goes as they please, as if it were a park, but this place is actually a grand estate owned by the Furude family. So the entire shrine is private property. It really makes you feel the passage of time. 10 or 20 years ago, it would have looked exactly the same. Then, wouldn't that mean that the Furude family is really old? With a history going back generations? Yeah, they're gone. That's odd. Reina said something clearly disquieting, so I ran over to her. What's wrong, Reina? Rika and Satoko always leave their bicycles here. See? They're gone. I took a look around. Indeed, there were no other bicycles aside from the ones we'd taken to get here. Couldn't they have just, parked somewhere else? Could they have brought them up the stairs? Those girls couldn't do that, Keiichi. Just as she said that, I could imagine Rika and Satoko lugging their bikes all the way up there. We hadn't not yet knocked on Rika's door, but reality was already sparking some ideas that weren't what you called good. Maybe they were just parked under some trees and we hadn't noticed them. God, I refuse to believe that not being able to find their bikes was proof that they'd disappeared. Let's go. The only way to be sure is to check their house. We all nodded and dashed up the stone steps. We passed through the red arch and came out onto the shrine grounds, which was covered in neat gravel. It was so quiet here, as though the Watanagashi festival had never happened. So, where's the house they live in? Over here! Come with me! Reina took the lead and sprinted off. We went towards the assembly hall behind the shrine, then looped around behind it. In the darkness of the night, we found a small, prefab 2-story shack that looked like a warehouse. The lights are off. Are they sleeping? Let's knock! Reina and Mian neared the shack, which didn't really look like a place people would live. Are they leading you to like a... They had such a beautiful shrine, so I'd figured they'd live in an equally beautiful house. It was far from what I expected. Rika! Satoko! Are you there? Reina shouted up towards the second floor. Her voice was restrained at first, but it steadily grew louder. No answer. In fact, there wasn't any sort of activity in the house at all. They might be sleeping. Let's wake them up. Mian banged on the shutter with both hands, and the loud sounds echoed into our surroundings. They would have to notice this much noise. They would turn on the light in their room, fling open the windows, and yell, "What time do you think it is?" That, however, wasn't happening. There was absolutely no response. Mian stopped slamming her fists on the shutter, and the sudden silence fell over us. The silence aroused terrible thoughts in us. I could feel the blood draining from my face. It's locked. I wonder if we can get in somehow. Reina showed no signs of stopping. It didn't look like she would admit they weren't there until we went inside and saw for ourselves. That refusal to give in gave me strength. The second-story windows wouldn't be locked. I'll give them a try. "'Kay, ladder." Mian brought over a ladder that was standing against the house. The footing was a little unstable for me to be climbing it, but Mian held the ladder firmly in place for me. I hadn't climbed too many ladders. My inexperience with them exposed, I climbed up one step at a time and tried to open each window on the second floor. I'm going to check the main house just to be sure, okay? I'll be right back. Reina darted away. What, a main house? It's the Furude's family's actual house. After her parents passed away, I think it's been left like that. Oh, right. Because parents, they passed away, huh? At that point, I recalled something else. Wasn't Satoko living here too? Satoko's also an orphan. Her parents... Oh, fuck. Her parents fell from a cliff because of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Then her older brother, Satoshi, he disappeared. Satoshi, I've heard that name before. I remembered. This is not the music for this time. It's messing with me. He was the one who disappeared last year because of the curse. Ever since then, Satoko and Rika have been living in this shack. Neither of them has any family, but at least they're together. They help each other out. Rina said main house, didn't she? Wouldn't it be easier to live there? The curtains were drawn, so I couldn't get a good look inside to see, but 2 young girls living together seemed like a pretty tough life. How is that even legal? Oops. I think she tried that at first. She said it was hard, though, because it reminded her of her parents. I had no idea. feel really bad for them. They were normally so cheerful at school that I never even realized an atom of this. Rika, Satoko, they have it hard, huh? She's cursed. Huh? Suddenly, Mion said something in such a low voice that it sounded like she was really cursing someone, and I didn't let that slide. I turned around on the ladder to face her and asked again, Mion, what did you just say? I said she's cursed. Mion, still holding on to the ladder, brought her head up to look me in the eyes. As soon as our eyes met, an absolute zero jolt of electricity surged through my body. Mion's eyes clouded over, and within them boiled and bubbled a stew of chaos. They whirled around and around like a raging sea, and bubbles floated to the surface. I had some point been trapped on this ladder, like being cornered on a dead-end street. Mion, why are you making that face? I intended to follow that up with a "you're going too far" with this joke and give her a forced smile. However, on such uneven footing as I was, the only thing that came out of my mouth was a hoarse groan as I desperately struggled to not let nausea overwhelm me. Satoko Hojo. She's been cursed by Oyashiro-sama. Mion's answers with a response to something I never asked, as if replying to somebody else's question. The only people who fell from the park observation platform were her parents. Only her parents, who treated her like dirt, died that day. She was the only one to survive. Then, she was sent to live with her aunt, who treated her cruelly, and the aunt was killed on the night of the Watanagashi by some deviant who beat her to death so violently her brains went everywhere, and her head an entirely different shape by the end of it. Then Satoshi, who's always protected her, he suddenly disappeared on her birthday. Someone made him disappear, even though he wasn't abusing her. The police judged him to run away from home, but Satoshi wasn't that kind of person. He was always earnest. He would never ask for anyone's help. He would always drag himself through everything with hard work alone. He worked so hard he nearly ground his bones in dust, all for his one and only little sister, and yet someone made him disappear. She was the only thing he lived for, and yet someone made him disappear. Poor Satoshi-kun. He was never rewarded that Satoshi. How ungrateful that child is. She is cursed. All who get near her suffer the same fate. The curse kills them, or the curse makes them disappear. She can't have any relief. She can't have any relief. It's probably Satoko's fault that Rika disappeared too. It has to be. 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 Mion was mumbling words over and over that were no longer coherent. Her shoulders were trembling so hard that I could feel it through the ladder. I almost lost my footing, which made me realize just how far away the ground really was. Calm down, Mion. I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't sure if she even heard me. Mion rocked back and forth, and that rocking and trembling was becoming even more violent. Help me. The ladder, it's falling. Help me. Help! Just then, I heard the sound of many people running towards us. Oh, hey! Over here! I very nearly said, help me, outright. 4 or 5 adults, led by Reina, ran over here with flashlights. "Okay, me, sorry I took so long. I borrowed the key." "Oh, nice one. Seems all the windows and doors are perfectly sealed. I was getting worried." When I heard Mion talking like nothing had just happened, I again felt a chill run through me. The person currently holding the ladder in place, it was definitely Mion. It was the real Mion Senozaki. Then, the person muttering to themselves? Just a few seconds ago, who was that? The person who was mumbling about terrible things like curses, who was that? I jumped down from the ladder, as if running away, before Mion turned into a person that wasn't Mion a second time. The adults tried a few different keys on the keyring as they tried to open the big shutter on the first floor. Rika's house used to be a disaster shelter for the town council, so the key to the shutter is still kept in the mayor's house. It's Rika's and Satoka's private residence, though. Well, this is on Rika's property anyway. Nobody complains about it. Mion gave me a smile as she said that. I, however, could only return her gaze with an aghast expression. Mion was acting all too normal now, but that only contrasted all the more sharply with her early and un-Mion-like creepiness. The shutter opened for the first time in a very long while. Reina located the light switch and wasted no time going inside. I followed her in. Rika! Satoko! If you're here, say something! We climbed a narrow staircase. It had looked like nothing more than a warehouse, but now that I was inside, I could feel how lived in it was. It was a person's home. Somehow, the scent of the two of them filled the place. This was definitely where Rika and Satoko lived. The first floor doubled as a town assembly warehouse, but the second floor was a space entirely for living. Just like a one-room apartment, past the kitchen was a living room taking about 150 square feet. Dressers, cupboards, and the like were packed into the space. And in the corner there was a huge pile of clothes that appeared to have just been taken in from drying outside. In the center of the living room was a fold-up table, and on it were small containers for things like soy sauce and salad dressing. The sense of a frugal lifestyle drifted from all of it. It was strange that they weren't here in the middle of the night like this. The adults, climbing the stairs one at a time, began to make a fuss and talk amongst themselves. So? Not here? Yeah, they're not here. This is definitely weird. The village had just been thrown into chaos yesterday because of the mayor's disappearance. Then today, even Rika and Satoko... Were they out playing somewhere together? That can't be. Their bicycles aren't here, though. Where would they have gone this late? Have they just not come back yet? Where did they go? The adults put forth various possibilities, and the house immediately devolved into a state of confusion. Eventually, Mion settled them down. I don't want to believe it, but the mayor, Kimiyoshi, disappeared yesterday. We can't say that this is unrelated. The adults' faces paled at Mion's declaration. Mine and Reina's did as well. Let's see, they could have gone nearby for some tea or something, then accidentally fallen asleep. Whoever invited them might just not be able to wake them up at all, too. Let's eliminate that possibility first. Makino-san, please go around to the houses near the stream. Keitaro-san, go look near Ojaga Lake. Okamura-san, you... Oh, that was not an adult, that was Mion. Mion promptly gave directions to the villagers. The adults followed them without hesitation, despite her age. We'll remain here and call up anyone we can think of on the phone. Okay, everyone, you have your orders. Got it! The adults all roared in reply and pounded back down to the stairs below. Wow, me! You're not only a chairperson of school, but Hinamizawa too! No time for jokes. Hey, step aside. This old man is using the phone. Mian grinned proudly, took the receiver, and got started. Reina gave Mian a trusting look, considering her dependable for doing all of this. My feelings, though, were a little more complicated, since her leadership seemed to be affirming the Sonozaki family's successor impression that Shion and Oishi had given me. Stop right there, Keiichi. No, don't stop. None of that matters right now. The most important thing is to make sure Rika and Satoko are safe. Let's see, couldn't there be a clue hinting at where they've gone in this room? Still, though, I wouldn't even know what to look for. If we told the whole place apart and figured out what was different from before, we might be able to speculate, but there was nothing strange about this room, and there were no clues in sight. In the first place, I had never even been here before. There was no way for me to know what was different if I didn't know how the room usually looked. Come on, don't give up, Keiichi, my bra. Stop thinking and start looking for something. In search of something, I tried pulling open the dresser drawers, open the windows. I didn't uncover anything meaningful, though. Reina, also unable to stand around doing nothing, was looking around the room like I was. Reina, I don't think you'll find Rika just by opening the refrigerator or cabinet underneath the sink. I just thought they might be hiding. Oh. As we were searching, it got noisy outside. Villagers were quickly assembling here, having heard the commotion. Of course, a lot of them were probably people Mion had called. I'll go tell everyone what's going on. The police will be here sooner or later, too. We'll need to explain the situation to Oishi. Mion began descending the stairs, and we followed her out to the front of the house. There were already around 10 adults there, and all of them looked uneasy. I suddenly noticed that the old people from the shrine were here as well, and they were praying for Rika-chan's safety, rubbing their prayer beads. This has gotten bad. This just wasn't a problem between friends anymore. Mion, is it true that Rika and Satoko aren't anywhere to be found? The villagers all formed a ring around Mion, swarming her. Mion raised her right hand, as if silently telling them to calm down. First, let's check every house according to the town council's notification division and see if they're visiting anyone. After all, they could be fast asleep at someone's house and totally unaware that we're looking for them. It would definitely be hard for someone to wake up Rika if she had eaten a good full meal and fallen asleep like a kitten afterwards. Oh God, I wish that were the case. I don't want to think about this, but it is also possible something bad has happened. Mion's face grew remarkably more grim, and a wave of silence washed over the adults. We should divide up the work, too. We'll go around to the places we went last night while looking for the mayor. We'll go look around the dam construction site as best we can. You guys go search around the school. Right! Let's get a move on. Come on, let's go. All of you were up all night looking for the mayor. I know you're all low on sleep, but please do your best. Got it! With that as their signal, the adults scattered in every direction. I figured I should scatter somewhere as well, so I started walking unsteadily in a direction no one else had gone in. I was getting farther and farther from people. I didn't feel scared or anything, though. If someone were made to disappear, Shion and I should be first. It would have been perfectly normal for me to be scared of the dark. However, I didn't feel that way. Why was that? It was because tonight, someone had already disappeared. So nobody else would disappear tonight. it would take some time before I, exhausted as I was, would feel guilt at the cause of my own selfish sense of relief. Suddenly, my vision cleared, and a cold wind caressed my body. This was the hill, from which you could see the whole village. Looking down from this hill, I could see lights on here and there, and I knew that the entire village had awoken from its slumber. First Takano, Tomitake, the mayor, and now even Riko and Satoko had been sacrificed, and word of it was spreading everywhere. The strength in my knees left me. This could no longer be a joke. I could have found them. Mian would have told me I was a worrywart. Reina would just be glad we did, and they would have smiled at me. My hopes disappeared as if I were awakening from a dream. That was what the view I could see was telling me. Following my knees, my arms both bent forward onto the ground, and I clawed at it with my nails. I couldn't figure out if I was feeling sorrow, frustration. This is my fault. I couldn't endure the burden of my own sin, and I just told Rika about it. They had nothing to do with it, but Rika and Satoko had been sacrificed. It was like a cross that Shion and I each would have to bear until the weight of until we ourselves were erased. Well, if I'm going that far, then the problem started long before that. My original sin of breaking taboo and entering the ritual storehouse without asking. I knew I shouldn't have gone in there from the start, yet I lost to cheap curiosity. I hadn't felt so angry at myself until this very moment. There was a crunching sound. I wasn't even interested in who made the noise, despondent as I was. Keiichi! Keiichi! Are you okay? It was Reina. Perhaps my clawing at the ground made it look as though I had stomach pains. She ran over and rubbed my back, like she was trying to make me feel better. This is all my fault. It's because of me. It's my fault. Keiichi's fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Please don't blame yourself for this. I could tell Reina was doing her best to choose the right words out of consideration for me. That's why I could sense her intent behind those words. Keiichi, you know why Rika and Satoko disappeared, don't you? Is that what she really meant to say? Because it was an emergency, Reina had ignored the reason why I wanted to make sure Rika was safe, but now that we actually confirmed her disappearance, it's only natural that Reina would start to wonder why. However, with the situation gotten this far, I couldn't possibly tell her now. I didn't want to admit that Rika and Satoko had disappeared, but I couldn't let Reina disappear either. Keiichi, if you stay out here in the wind, you'll catch a cold. Reina sat down, bringing her eyes level with mine. They told us that children should go back home and sleep. Reina showed me her watch as she said that. It was long past 1 a.m. Time was passing too quickly. Had I been crawling around here for that long? If we don't sleep soon, we'll have trouble getting up for school tomorrow. Even the adults are really worn out, since they were up searching for the mayor last night too. They were saying they'd wake up a little earlier tonight. was a little upset that they weren't allotting as much time for this as they had to search for the mayor. But that was something I, the cause of everything, had no right to criticize them for. It's all right. The police arrived a little while ago. Look, there's police cars coming into the village right now. Hearing that remark, I looked down at the village to see that there were indeed more cars than one would normally expect at this hour coming from the dirt on the other side of the mountain. However, none of their emergency lights were on. Of course, their sirens weren't wailing either. That's right. All of the incidents that occurred right after Watanagashi were seen as the product of Oyashiro's curse and would be handled in secrecy. Rika and Satoko, too. Their disappearances would end up exactly like the other serial incidents in the past. Surreptitious. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Unresolved, declared a mystery, and disappeared from memory. Rika's face, her sweet face like a Western doll, would fade away. Satoko's smile, her energetic, fanged smile, would fade away. The more I tried to remember them, the less I would be able to. I deserved to be called an idiot dozens of times over, and it wouldn't be enough. I couldn't hold back the tears at my own stupidity. I don't know what you're blaming yourself for, Keiichi, but you should stop. I wasn't about to deny it. I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't affirm it either. I wanted to at least keep Reina out of this. If she found out, she would become involved. Please, Reina, just leave me alone. Even if I went home, I wouldn't be able to sleep. If I couldn't get to sleep, then I at least wanted to search for Rika and Satoko until I collapsed. The entire village was looking, and yet they still hadn't been found. I don't think I'd be able to find them if I went looking alone at this point. Still, I had to do it. They disappeared because of me. I couldn't possibly go to sleep while other people are out there searching. I had said that to myself in self-deprecation, but I soon realized that Reina was silently trying to find the meanings in my mumblings. I realized I had misspoke. It's Keiichi's fault? Why do you think that? Why? That can't be. Keiichi, you're not at fault. I was happy that Reina said these things to me, but she only did so because she didn't know the truth. If she knew that everything had been caused by my breaking a taboo on the night of the Watanagashi, then even Reina would curse my existence. However, I can't even allow for those curses. That would mean confessing my own crimes to Reina. If I spilled even one word of having snuck into the ritual storehouse on the night of the Watanagashi, then even Reina could disappear tomorrow night. That gentle, spirited, always joking, always howling, but at a time like this, the most dependable person in the world, Reina, might disappear. I don't want that. Anything but that. This time, I need to bear my own cross alone. Keiichi, I know that you always have your friends in your heart. I can really understand feeling like you want to kick yourself. Reina knows, though, that it's not Keiichi's fault. You didn't do anything wrong, Keiichi, and I know that. You know? The shivering in my veins rushed up my back and replaced the sorrow in my heart with fear. I didn't tell her anything, did I? Maybe did I accidentally said something that caused Reina to figure out? This is bad. Now Reina will disappear. Reina will disappear. Reina will disappear. Then Reina, the same way I always did, grabbed my head and began to pet it roughly. Keiichi, are you thinking that Reina might disappear too now? Because of Oyashiro-sama's curse? She puts more force into the hand rubbing my head. You don't need to worry about that. Reina isn't going anywhere, I promise. What? How can you say that with such confidence? I mean, someone's been sacrificed every night so far. There was no proof that it wouldn't happen again tomorrow. There was even less proof, after all, that the sacrifice wouldn't be Reina. I don't care who you are. Just please, if you're going to erase someone, erase me first. Please, stop cruelly getting rid of people we're close to, like Mayor for Shion and Rika and Satoko. Shion's hysterical shouting came back to mind. They must be planning to kill us last of all. They're not killing the first people who come to mind, no. They'll start by killing those we're close to. And then after they've caused us so much pain, they'll kill us. That must be what they're doing. Reina, please don't disappear. Please don't. As long as I'm still here. I could no longer conceal the sobs welling up within me. Come on, Keiichi. Crying doesn't suit you. Let's go back to the others. The housewives are cooking some miso soup for us. It'll warm you up and calm you down. Reina prompted me to stand. I didn't have the energy to oppose her. So I stood as she urged me to. We returned to the shrine grounds to find several gas stoves there with miso soups in big pots. The many villagers there sipped at the soup they were given in dead, stony silence. Their expressions were absolutely exhausted. Everyone had just been running around the village until a little while ago. From the dreary looks on their faces, though, I assumed they hadn't come up with anything. Kay, where did you go? I was worried you disappeared too. Sorry. Mian held out some miso soup for me, but I refused the offer. I didn't have much of an appetite. Me, how is it? Did you find any clues? Mian took a sip of her soup, her expression frank. None at all. School ended, they went home, and the two of them went somewhere on their bicycles. Moreover, nobody ever saw them riding their bikes, so... When it gets dark out in Hinamizawa, people quickly vanish from the streets. Aside from adults hurrying back home from town in cars or bicycles, it was normal to see absolutely nobody walking around outside. It wasn't at all strange that nobody had seen Rika and Satoko riding their bikes. It was the same last night with the mayor. There's no hope. Mian's apathetic tone pricked my nerves, but that anger quickly subsided. She had been doing all sorts of things to try and find Rika until just a second ago. If I asked her, she'd probably say she was up all last night looking for the mayor too, wouldn't she? She must have been far more fatigued than I was. I hate how stupid this guy was. Did he literally forget that she went demonic 10 minutes ago? Besides, what about me? I had spent that time hunched over in indecision, all alone. I had no right to say anything about Mian. Kay, I know it's hard, but let's turn in for the night. We just decided we should break up the search for now. Drink this and let's call it quits. Is the end? Of course not. Once it's spied out again, we'll do a thorough search with the police helps. They could have gone to Okinomiya too. People are even saying we should go through all of Shishiboni City, investigating whether there are witnesses for both the girls and the mayor. Anyway, what happened, Kay? Where did you go off to? You vanished all of a sudden. I was really worried. Suddenly, I was on the receiving end, but I didn't have any willpower to respond. Sorry. I'll be more careful next time. Nothing happened? There wasn't anyone suspicious spying on you, stalking you, nothing like that? Mian demanded with a serious expression. I was being criticized for how inconsiderate I had been, despite being in so much pain. I was frustrated I was being criticized, but it was my sin. My sin. I must bear it alone. Nothing. I'll be careful. Either way. Sorry. Mian, now aware that nothing had happened, heaved a big sigh with her shoulders, looking relieved. Oh, my. I knew I smelled something good coming from over here. I'd be much obliged if you'd allow me to have some. We heard the repulsive voice of a fat man. It was Oishi, trailed by a handful of police officers. He was acting energetically in a way unfitting the given situation. There's not much left, but you can have some if you want. Mian didn't like Oishi very much. Her cold attitude, though, didn't seem to bother Oishi in the slightest. It was like splashing water in a frog's face. Well now, miso soup leftovers have a bit too much salt for my taste. Confound it! Would you all like any? He recommended to its subordinates, but everyone gave dry smiles and refused. So, have the police gotten hold of any clues? Reina's smile was warm enough to replace the miso soup. Don't you worry, little missy. Everything's fine. We're searching for them real good. He didn't say a word about having found any new clues. In other words, there had been no progress. That sure was an annoying way of beating around the bush. In any case, it really has gotten late. All you youngsters should get on home and get some sleep. It'll be bad for your health otherwise. Yeah. Okay, Reina, get some rest. These guys get our tax money. They'll handle it from here. We're taxpayers too, you know. It's like we're drinking our own piss. I really wasn't in the mood for laughter. In fact, Oishi was the only one laughing like an idiot. Okay, seriously, please do your best. Let's go home, Kay. It'll be harder to wake up tomorrow if we don't. Yeah, whatever. I can always bring you home if you need. Kuma, why don't you bring the car around? No thanks. We came on our bicycles, so... No need to worry. We came in a truck. We'll just throw them backs in the back. We may have gotten pretty sleepy, but we just needed a ride home at this point. I didn't want to bother the police like that. Reina, however, nodded. Okay, if you insist, we'd appreciate it. It's probably safer than if we went back alone. When I thought about it carefully, I realized Reina's idea was extremely rational. Now that it's decided, let's get a move on, shall we? All right, bye. Good night. Reina, Kay. Yeah, me. You go to bed soon too, okay? Good night. I waved my hand as well, saying goodbye. Rika and Satoko still hadn't been found. My unease, however, was steadily being pushed away by sleepiness. Reina showed the police where our bicycles were, so that Oishi could haul them up into the truck. He prompted us to get into the back seat. I could hear the springs squeaking as I sat down onto the seat. That would normally hurt my rear end. But at this point, it was very soft and was more than comfortable enough for me to fall asleep on. Ladies first. We'll start with the little Mrs. House. Where do you live?
Thank you. My house as well.
He wants to talk to her. Reina's voice slowly grew distant. I felt myself being sucked into the void of sleep. Hello? My Bara, are you asleep back there? When I came to, it was quiet. The car was parked. Oisha was giving me light slaps to the cheek. Didn't feel good at all, so I woke up immediately. Oh, sorry. I just fell asleep. Something was being held right under my nose. A clump of metal? Oh, a can of coffee. It's lukewarm by now. But cafe au latte is good even at room temperature. Oh, thanks. I mechanically took the can and opened the pull top. The feeling of the warm, sweet liquid going down my throat awakened my sleepy mind. When my drowsiness receded, I started wanting to know why the car was stopped and why I was offered coffee. Oishi, who had been in the driver's seat, had at some point moved to the back. Suddenly, I had a very bad feeling about this. It reminded me of the questioning yesterday at the library. It was already too late by the time I realized I'd made a mistake. Today of all days, it didn't look like I would be getting away. I had a feeling that Oishi heard what he wanted to. He wouldn't be letting me go. Until... Please don't get all formal on me. I'm not gonna eat you or anything, my Bara. Oishi gulped down the last of his coffee, then stretched wide, showing me how relaxed he was. That, however, served to heighten my nervousness. What do you need from me? Need? Oh, nothing really. You're going to evade the question at this point? What a deeply unreadable man. Well, I don't need you for anything. I just thought that you might need something from me, my Bara. I don't need anything. Oh, I see. Really? Are you sure there's nothing? There was only one side door in the back seat of this truck. In other words, my only exit was blocked off by Oishi. I couldn't get away. I could only limply hang my head and maintain my silence. Didn't you say you were going to go to the police? Anyways, Oishi, despite my resistance, I don't know what the fuck that word means, relaxed and began smoking a cigarette. Probably means like me not doing anything. The cries of the insects outside seemed to be growing longer and longer to an amount of time that almost seemed infinite. Here I was, sure you wanted me to talk to me about something. Oishi exhaled a puff of smoke. The windows were open, but the tobacco smoke still accumulated inside the vehicle. How much did he know? What did he know? And what did he want to hear from me? If finding out the truth made you disappear, then if I told him, would Oishi disappear too? I had a feeling that I didn't need to worry about that in his case. I wonder how all this ended up happening. Oishi addressed me in a low tone as if he was talking to himself. How all this ended up happening? How the hell should I know? That was
This is what I wanted to know.
You know Jiro Tamatake and Mio Takano, right? I know you do because I personally witnessed you with them during the festival along with Shion Sonozaki-san. Do you know how Tamatake and Takano are doing now? They've actually, passed away. They met very untimely deaths. Oh, she probably played that card in order to surprise me. However, I already knew and didn't display the extreme reaction he had expected. What's this? Do you already know? Unfortunately, for this question in particular, remaining silent was equivalent to saying yes. So then did you also know the reason Tomatake and Takano were cursed like that? People are saying that apparently they went into some forbidden building. The storehouse for ritual implements. Yeah, that forbidden shed sealing away Hinamizawa's blood-stained past. Where the mistake that started it all happened. Do you know about the rumors that say that Mayor and Rika Furude were cursed because of that too? That would mean that it was mine and Shion's fault. He was right. As soon as we revealed what we did. What did they call it? A ritual storehouse? They're saying it was bad luck. The lock to it had been replaced by a simpler one which made it easier for thieves to get inside. What? This was news to me. Until last year, it apparently had these big bars and a huge padlock on it. I mean, you know, ever since the priest and his wife passed away, Rika Furude has been managing the place, right? Oh, God, that's creepy. Apparently, she talked to the mayor, saying she wanted them replaced with a lighter, more simple padlock because the bars were too heavy for her. I didn't know anything about those big bars he was talking about, but the lock had certainly been a simple one. It was a pretty cheap one, too, and it didn't really fit my impression of what a lock for a place you'd store something as important as ritual implements would look like. Why would she disappear if she goes in there all the time? Rika is a small girl, after all. The bars were heavy with rust, and they must have caused her a lot of trouble. So the mayor hired a craftsman and replaced the lock with a simple padlock, so she could open it with a key. So how does that mean it was bad luck? Here's what I'm saying. Thieves couldn't get in with the old tight lock the mayor and Rika replaced it with, a cheap lock and key on their own, so thieves broke into it. Apparently, that's how it's going down. That explanation's a bit... Letting that slide, certain members of the village delivered punishment upon the thieves who stole into the ritual storehouse, as well as the mayor and Rika, who changed the lock. At least those are the whispers that seem to be going around. Maibara, what do you think? What do I think? I don't really know what you mean by certain members of the village. Are you familiar with the 3 families? Representatives from each of them gave short addresses at the Watanagashi Festival opening ceremony. Did you see them? I came partway through the festival, so I don't really... The 3 families are the 3 oldest families in Hinamizawa. To give actual names, the Kimiyoshi family, the Sonozaki family, and the Furude family. Someone disappeared from 2 of those families. They each have quite the lineage, it seems. Long ago, it's said that everything in the village was decided by a council of the 3 families. The Kimiyoshi family, Old Man Kimiyoshi, meaning the mayor's family. Sonozaki family, Mion's. So the Furude was Rika's family then. After the war, Sonozaki family quickly expanded their influence. Practically speaking, after leading the fight against the construction during the dam conflict, they jumped to the top of the hierarchy in Hinamizawa. You see, though, in accordance with the old ways, they still decide important village matters only after consulting with the three families. That's why the leaders of the three families each have their own address at the start of the Watanagashi. In other words, the mayor, the old lady currently in charge of Sonozaki family, and last remaining member of the Furude family, Rika. I heard that the Sonozaki family was pretty high up there, so Rika's family was just as old? Well, as you're aware, she has no relatives at all, and not in foster care. Yeah, okay. In reality, the Furude family holds pretty much no influence. However, it seems like people gravitate towards Rika on a personal level, and I hear that many of the village elderly have blind faith in her. It was certainly true that Rika had an odd sort of charisma amongst the elderly. So what are you telling me about all these three families for? Or she paused for emphasis, lighting another cigarette. I've explained a lot, but I suppose it's still not enough. I'm asking because I don't understand. Or she gave me a dry, meaningful grin and blew out another big puff of smoke. Members of the three families are disappearing, one after the other. That's what I'm talking about. I've read that it's based on some kind of old traditions inherent in Hinamizawa, but I don't know much beyond that. I don't know anything about it either. That's why I'm asking. The leaders of the Kimiyoshi and Furude families have disappeared. So maybe the leader of the Sonozaki family will disappear next. Well, that's just a random idea bouncing around in my head at the moment. Just kidding, really. The leader of the Sonozaki family? Who is it? The current leader is the old lady at the main house. But it wouldn't be incorrect to say that practically all the rights of leadership have been transferred to her granddaughter Mion. The visage of Mion giving prompt directions to the adults while searching for Rika sprung back to mine. Mion? She's gonna disappear? I hadn't even thought about that possibility. All my hair stood on end. That's insane. No, I'm pretty sure that the one family, Sonozaki, is trying to control everybody. So they're getting rid of the other families. Nobody wants that, right? Of course not. We can't allow that. Clamp. Oh, she grabbed my shoulders with both hands. Then help us, my boy. If there's anything you've noticed about me on lately, please tell me. I was going along with him. By the time I realized it, it was too late. Oishi brought his face in closer, almost close enough to ram into me, waiting for my next words. God, this pressure. I can't tear my eyes away from his. That moment I heard a beeping sound. It was from the driver's seat. He ignored it at first, but then it started to bother him, so finally he let go of me and leaned into the driver's seat. Hello? Yep. Loud and clear. I was saved. Of course, it's not like I could escape through this opening. Come on, just fucking tell him. Why would you not tell him? I see. Yes, all right. Let's head back in then. Yep. All right. Apparently he was being recalled. Now that I knew I'd be freed, the tension in my body dissipated all at once. It looks like I need to get going. We are just getting to the good part, too. That's too bad. Oishi flung open the door, exited, and walked around to the driver's seat. He left the door open. Did that mean I could leave? You really care about your friends, my boy. An admirable trait for a kid to have in this day and age. I totally understand that it feels like you'd be betraying them if you told the police anything. My boy, it's the middle of the night, so get a good sleep and then think about it. Just a little bit of courage from you might end up being what saves many of your friends in the end. Did he want to say that the sacrifices wouldn't stop with Rika and Satoko? You know this already, but every night since Watanagashi something has happened. In the past, the curse only occurred once per year, but this time it's been going on for days. What a prosperous year this has been. I don't think you can call that prosperous. The night before last night, and now today. There's no proof that something won't happen tomorrow night as well. It's our job to prevent such things happening. But for that, we need your cooperation, my boy. I looked at the open door to see none other than my own house right in front of me. It creeped me out that he knew my name and address. But I was too sleepy right now. I was too sleepy to care. Well, you're probably tired. It's already 3 a.m. You just drank coffee. Please give yourself a good rest. Yes, sir. I'll be going now. When I was about to get out of the truck, as if to deliver a parting blow, Oishi said in a raised voice, I'll be coming by every day until you feel like talking, all right? Just fucking tell him. I don't believe forcing you to confess in an interrogation room is really in fashion these days. I couldn't say anything in response, but me slamming the door shut probably served the same purpose. After lightly beeping the horn, Oishi's truck drove off. I went to the front door without waving goodbye. See, and this is why you die in horror movies, because you're a fucking moron. Why the fuck would you not tell the police that Neon was, acting like a crazy bitch? Sorry. The door was locked, but the chain wasn't up. I unlocked the door and entered. Then walked over to the staircase. That was where I lost consciousness. Oh wait, my mouse is being stupid. Alrighty, Roo. I kind of want to continue. I can't because the mouse is being... Alright. Now we're going to do a break, make some tea. Try to figure out my mouse situation. Ande. Okay, it's fine, but then I put it on this and it starts doing it. Stop it! No! No! Stop. Stop! So we're gonna call it here for tonight because the mouse is driving me up the banana walls. Do you see this? I don't know if you can see it. It's just moving on its own. Here, let's put it here. It's like playing a video game. We gotta like click it out of the right moment. Alright, we quit the game. For some reason now it's not doing it. Was it just the game that was making it do that? That's so weird. That doesn't even make any sense. Anyways, have a good evening.